Welcome to Longevity Industries' presentation of the Destiny of Manufacturing podcast. I, of course, am Dean Phillips, and I am your host. I'd like to thank our supporters, the Precision Metalforming Association and the PMA's Educational Foundation, for all that they do. And we have with us today PMA President David Klotz. Welcome, David.
Hi, Dean. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here during these very difficult times. And I really appreciate you taking time to be here to kind of get some messaging out for all of the members of PMA and manufacturing as a whole.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Dean. And one thing I want to say is I really appreciate what you do for for PMA, but then also for the manufacturing industry. With this podcast and all that, it's a great way for people to kind of get updated and on information what's happening in our industry. And I really appreciate being part of this. And thank you again.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you said, crazy times right now. And, and it really, we came back from our annual meeting the first week of March. We had over in Hawaii our annual meeting and boy, things changed very quickly over this whole, now we're wrapping up the end of March now and things really changed. So, real quick, we saw a lot of things that were, starting to happen. Information about Corona and really picking up steam at the end of February. And so in early March, we were kind of one of the first to kind of head this up, and we created this own coronavirus guidance page on on PMA's website. So PMA.org, there's a tab at the top that says Corona Guidance, and we created a kind of a tab there for our members to go to. And at first we just started linking, links to CDC and other things related to the government and for our members to kind of go to have a one-stop shop where they can go to those direct links. But then quickly it just kind of morphed into a lot more information. Shortly after that, we created with our help with our team at Bracewell out in DC, our PR firm. We put together a small video of, making sure members watched their animated video that was really nice. It was really nice that we pushed it social media wise, wash your hands, make sure you don't touch your face. Some of that messaging that was coming out, that was well received. And then, but from this page, we've really developed now a link where, members can go to for compliances, information for, keep your workplace safe, resources for that, guidelines what the government is laying out. So they've got information to go that, and then every state that the stay at home kind of order, all those guidance are right there. So our members are trying to, they can go right there, look at that information and kind of have a feel. Obviously with PMA, and most of our members, if you're automotive or you're supplying to the transportation industry or your defense, supplier, those are considered essential businesses. So most of our members are staying open during this time.
Yeah,
because they need to supply the industries that they supply to. So luckily, most of our members are open right now, but some have decided to close for a short period of time. But most of them are open, and a lot of our suppliers are open as well, supplying them steel or product to keep their door, keep that so that they can continue making products.
Right, and it's. I've seen a lot of reports over the manufacturing industry of repurposing things that they've done. A lot of companies that were in the chemical side of the businesses or even in food processing, doing things like making hand sanitizer and a lot of additive manufacturing, doing things like making respirator parts and doing things like making masks. And we have a lot of our companies that are supporting that and doing a lot of influential and vital manufacturing that still is critical during this time. How are some of the things being received as far as these difficulties? I know that people seem to me to be rallying around this and taking up the charge to how we can better support our people in the medical industry and first responders and that. What other things have you seen?
Yeah, I've seen from talking to some of our members. They've, actually quoting has been picked up quite a bit. Quoting on new medical supply, components, but then also quoting on other product that might be automotive related that might have been gone, that maybe that project would have gone overseas, but now they're looking at reshoring that. So that's been a big pickup. We did have some current members that are already supplying the medical field, and they were in some states. They were in states that were being, stay at home and have to close their doors. Well, we found, so they were being told they have to shut the doors. They're like, no, we're making parts for the ventilators. We need to stay open. They're like, no, you need to close the doors. So we had to get our DC team involved and get with the legislative team, and we had to get quick things turned around so we can get that out to the city to let them know they have to stay open because they're making critical parts. And that was like a very quick turnaround. So the power of kind of, our lobbyists and, we have in DC to kind of, get in front of legislative and our representatives very quickly so they can get in touch with local officials to let them know, some of our members are making critical parts. So that's a huge plus to have that, that part of PMA is that lobby entity we have.
Yeah, that's more important than I think people realize, because I think that they think that our representatives are aware of everything that goes on. But the reality is if you ask them about automotive, they're going to name the big companies, but they're not going to list the thousands of suppliers to that, and they're not going to realize that. And they don't realize that they might say, when you say medical, they hear Johnson & Johnson or Stryker or companies like that, but they're not going to recognize all the companies that supply parts for that. And it is important that we let people know that these parts are critical for these industries.
And it goes down to, tier, it's you're a tier 1, you're a tier 2, and all the way down to tier 3, tier 4 suppliers are so critical. So, maybe that tier 3 supplier that's making that component that either is for a defense component or automotive, they think it's maybe not critical, but it is, because the end part that it's going to can't get produced and shipped to the OEM. So it's having that understanding and having that, group in DC lobby for us is huge for us, and let them know that manufacturing is so important. And, one of the big things is on this website that we created, this Corona page, but we actually surveyed all our members 2 weeks ago and said, because the government and all the legislative are coming out, okay, we're going to get tax breaks to, multiple, companies, and we'll get you relief. And, we surveyed our members and a huge response back, and they basically said tax relief is not going to help, because some of some of the companies aren't going to make any money this year. So a tax break or tax relief is not going to help. They need cash. Cash flow is the biggest number one issue that, they were concerned about. How am I going to keep, cash so I can keep the payroll and keep going with maybe some revenue that's being cut back? And so that was a big push on that. And so we got that in front of the legislative team, and that was a big, they switched kind of their tune from tax breaks, tax credits to, upfront cash for a lot of, for the small businesses. So we were, our legislative of Franklin Partnership and Braeswell, our PR firm there, were a huge component, big proponent in there. We're working with the group there.
Great.
Like just, part of the stimulus package that just came out.
Great. Tell me a little bit about, let's say, we know what we can't do. What is it we can do? What can we do during these times to maybe retrain people, get education going, while we may not be able to do everything, but let's focus on the things we can do. So what are some of those?
Yeah. So on the PMA side, what we're doing is obviously, we are, had some, events and conferences and seminars that were related to, different things that were going to happen in April and May. And actually we moved some of those to virtual. So I think the key is moving everything to the fall is not going to help, because everyone's moving their events to fall. And so there's only going to be so many days and available for people to come. And with maybe businesses as they open up, are going to be probably limited on travel. And so the thought is doing more virtual is what we're looking at. So where PMA is having their leadership conference, and we're looking at still having that in early May, but we're looking to do that virtual. Pete Ulitz, who's head of our technical seminars, he's transitioned our high strength steel seminar into a series of learning series. Mm-hmm. So this way we can still be in front of our members. They can still get trained, but it'll be obviously a different format. And obviously you lose that kind of networking that happens when you kind of get together as a group in person. But at least we can continue doing that learning and transforming some of that knowledge transfer to the other two companies. One of the other areas I think is also huge is, we've had a huge success with Metalforming EDU over the last year for sure. We broke record sales of what we were budgeting for. And so I think EDU can be still a huge time for, if they have staff that's either working limited hours or some people may be working from home. These are areas where they can get brushed up on the recent, information on Metalforming EDU, on, Press 101 all the way to, advanced press manufacturing, coil handling, all different, press safety, lockout, tagout, all those critical areas that are in the press room and Metalforming industry can be available there in Metalforming, along with the other full library of 600 other classes that they can take advantage of. But since it's all online, now they can have access and they don't have to worry about doing that in the facilities.
That's a good point, because I think some people, either because they feel like they don't feel comfortable coming into the company, or because they may have been exposed either through the company or externally. Maybe their kids or somebody was going to school with somebody who had it, and they're concerned about being exposed and not wanting to spread it. They're not going to come into the office. But this is a great way to allow them to access this material and do some things and be productive during these more complicated times.
Yeah, and I think, and a lot of our members have laid out where, say an existing, a new hire that was maybe going to be a press operator, and they were going to work their way up. If they maybe now they're, relying and maybe have to stay at home. And a lot of our members was, hey, you go through these series of Metalforming EDU classes, we'll give you an increase in pay. Well, they may not be able to get to that because they're working, but now that they're at home for a period of time, they can go through those classes, get certified, and then have that opportunity to make more money right when they come back to work.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yep. Upskilling is an area that we can certainly look at and trying to figure out. It is a different world, and I don't see that even after all of this goes back that we're going to return to how we were before the days of this. So we're not going to be doing things in the same way as we used to, and I think we're going to have to adapt somewhat to these new styles of learning, to doing things more virtually, to having access to our computers using IoT or doing things like networking systems that actually monitor production of your press room and things like that. All of those are things that we can do that don't put us at risk.
Right. Yep. And it's so funny. Staff, we've been working from home now for about almost a couple of weeks now, remotely. We didn't officially close the office until early last week, but we had people start working from home on Thursday, Friday, the week before, because the schools were starting to shut down, and we wanted to have people don't worry about it, you work from home. But we actually just had a virtual happy hour last Friday with the PMA staff, and it was great because, you kind of miss that little bit of interaction, but we had everybody on Zoom, and this way we shared what movies are watching, what books are reading, what board games are playing, or what games are doing with their families, and it was a great way to. And I think the whole staff really enjoyed connecting, and we're going to continue doing more of that in the coming weeks. And while we're working from home, it's continue to kind of keep that interaction is key, and let's still want to have some fun.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic because I think sometimes people overlook the social aspect that work provides, that as a workplace, that this isn't just your coworkers, these are your family. And you care about each other and you want to know what each other are doing. You don't have the outlets you used to have. You don't go out to dinner. You can't go to your gym. You can't do a lot of the things. Kids cannot go out and experience things the way they used to. They can't play their team sports or anything. They're not going to school. And something like that has a social element, I think is vital during this time to maintain your sanity, I guess, for lack of a better word.
It was about 45 minutes to an hour, and we really enjoyed ourselves. And what was great is, some people that had obviously, their children, some of them came on, sat on their laps, so we got to see some of the kids and the younger kids, which always was great to see how they were interacting and waving on the screen and all that. But I really enjoyed it, and myself, I miss work, missing a lot of the team, and look forward to kind of getting back to the office hopefully sometime soon.
Yeah. And it is a difficult time, and we have to kind of make the best of it. And I think that kind of experience, like through Zoom meetings, is another way to maintain that connection that, frankly, this disease has basically put up a wall between. You can safely maintain your distance of 6 feet, but now at least there's a way to see the people in a way that you couldn't do it before. And I think that's great. I'm glad you guys came up with that idea.
Yeah, it was good. And obviously, if you're on social media, you see other companies kind of interact, and somebody had crazy hat day or something like that, and so people had different hats on and stuff like that. So it's good that other companies are looking at doing this and doing something similar.
Yeah, good. I think the next thing is we have to have a virtual cook-a-thon or something of what you're cooking at dinner, so make everybody jealous.
Or favorite recipes, bring your own recipes and stuff like that to help people, because if it doesn't end in a couple more weeks, people are going to run out of ideas. But it is challenging times for our members, and I just want to let the PMA members know that we're here for them, and whatever we can do is they can reach out to us, and obviously we're going to adapt our schedule, but we're here for them. Obviously the association we're only existing because of our members, and whatever they need us to provide. And obviously right now it's information from DC of how they can get fund money to stay open and cash. That's the key right now. And then guidelines, can I stay open? Should I stay, and then if I do have someone that comes down with corona, what's my procedures or what I need to do? And that's what we need to be there for them right now for.
Very good. Any other suggestions or ideas?
No, I think, it is, just talking to the members, like I said, what shocked me was, businesses, some companies are still, are still busy working, filling, they had backlog orders that they're working on. But a lot of our members are quoting new projects, either in the medical side, but also new maybe automotive reshoring projects. And PMA partnered with NTMA, TMA, and a couple other associations to kind of make an effort to, hey, we're here for you, and we would like to, your efforts to reshoring, we can help guide you. If you're looking for a supplier to do this, and this was used to be done over in Europe or in Asia, and has an opportunity to want to bring it back here in the United States, we'll help you guide that, to help you with who those critical manufacturers here in the States could help you with that product. And so we want to be that opportunity for our members to let them know. So we actually just sent a survey out to our members to kind of update their status of information of what they can do, maybe their press range and sizes, so we have a better idea, because that's what a lot of our associate members are looking at, and a lot of potential maybe their customers are looking, okay, who can maybe make a part for me, that maybe has a 1,000-ton press or more or something like that.
Right.
So, that's the information that, going forward, we want to get more and more of that information from our members so we can, help promote them.
Good. That's fantastic. Where can everybody find that information again?
So on our main web page, www.pma.org, right when you bring on the website, obviously all our information is on there for events, and you can find out what's been moved or what's been postponed to a later date. But at the very top of the page, it says coronavirus guidance. It's in red. You just click on that, and that goes into all the information that's got the state guidelines. We just had a webinar on Friday that we had up to 300 people sign up for. Was well received, and we plan on now doing that every Friday at noon. We're going to have this webinar going forward for the next few weeks, or for the next month and a half. Every Friday we're going to do a webinar, just maybe not be an hour long. I think this one was a little bit over an hour, but I think we're going to keep it down to 30-40 minutes. But a great way for members to kind of make sure they schedule around noontime each Friday to get an update from our DC team of what's happening, where the funding at, where any help and relief they can get, where that's at, and people they need to talk to. So we're planning on that. But that recording is on the website. That on that page I mentioned, we've got that recording up along with all the other additional information there listed.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, David. I appreciate you being here and taking time in this very difficult situation to be here. We really appreciate it. And again, we thank our support that we always get from the Precision Metalforming Association and the PMA's Educational Foundation. If you're at home, there's another opportunity to listen to other podcasts from the Destiny of Manufacturing. You can get them either on longevityindustries.com or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, radio.com, any of them. So please like and subscribe that. And if you have any other questions, please direct them to Dean at longevityindustries.com. And please be safe out there.